Hi, so today I'm gonna make Bolognese pasta, and I have beef, and I have pancetta, and I'm gonna move that. I have some celery, some carrots, and some onions, and about a half a cup of red wine. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut up the pancetta, and as a trick of mine, I have a wood cutting board that I love, but I don't like to get meat on it because I'm kind of a germ freak when it comes to mixing meat with vegetables. So I have a ton of these plastic cutting boards that I can bleach and throw in the dishwasher, and I'll use these for meats, and I'll also use them for garlic and for onion because I don't like that smell seeping into my cutting board and then having garlic flavored watermelon the next day when I'm cutting it. So I'm gonna show you how I cut the pancetta. So I'm gonna make it small. So I'm gonna cut it into pieces about that big. I'm gonna chop it up. Just into strips. And I'm using gloves also as a sort of cheat because quite honestly, I don't want to be washing my hands 10 times a day. So I'm going to chop them up, and then I'm just going to chop it like this and sort of like macerate it and mash it. Because what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use this oil that gets rendered out of it for cooking the vegetables. And it's going to make a really flavorful sauce also. So I'm gonna cut now and go to another video so you don't have to sit here watching me do this. Well, of course I used the wrong angle on my camera, and the video of me chopping all of this showed about that much of my cutting board, but this is the finished result. It's macerated, very small, so now it's ready to go into the pot. Well, now I'm gonna try and do this one-handed because I don't have my little selfie stick over here. But I'm just gonna put it in the pan. Start rendering out that fat. I have low heat and just a little bit of olive oil in there to help get it started. And while that's happening, I am going to go and start prepping the vegetables because we're gonna need to make a vegetable stock for this as well. Okay, so while that's cooking, as you can hear it sizzling in the background, I'm gonna create a little bit of a vegetable stock for the vegetable broth, which is gonna go into the pancetta. So that was really smart. You have that cutting board there. So I have another clean cutting board, and I'm gonna move this a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna take an onion and a fresh knife. I'm gonna take the skin off. This is the fastest way for me to do it. I know it's a lot of waste. I'm gonna take about a quarter of this onion out and throw this into the water. I'm gonna throw some carrot into the water. I'm gonna take the leaves off of the celery because that's where all of the flavor is. And put this in there. And then just the other bits of the celery that I don't want to use. Because celery is an aromatic and gives a lot of flavor to broths. And I want this broth to have a lot of flavor. And then probably just the ends off of these carrots that are ugly, but they're clean. And I can use that in the broth. I'm gonna end up needing about, it's 50 grams, it's an ounce and a half, so it's probably like 2 carrots, so I'll just take this one and throw it in there too. And actually, maybe a little bit more onion. So I'm gonna go put this in the water now. All right, so while that's cooking, I actually changed my mind, decided to get another onion. I'm gonna cut this onion up, and I'll show you how I cut it. So I cut it in half, then I'll cut it in half again because I want to make these pieces pretty small. And I'm not a professional chef. I've seen professional chefs cut this stuff up so fast, and I really admire that, but I've never yet been able to do that. Maybe once I start cooking even more. But I'm cutting them up in small pieces. Oh, this is a strong onion. Okay. Oh man, pro chefs, how do you do this? And I'm just gonna mince it up so that the pieces are like little. And I wanna get, I think about 50 grams of this. So, not very much more. And it's gonna be equal parts carrot, celery, and onion. Oh boy, that's strong, even with my glasses on. All right, I think these pieces are small enough for me to be comfortable, because I don't want a sauce that you're chewing. Oh. I want a sauce that's very smooth. So it's about that much. Put them in here. And then I'll go on to my celery and my carrot next. But first, I'm gonna go stir that pancetta because I can hear it crackling. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut up the celery and the carrots into these little strips, and I'll show you how I do that. I know this is very simple and a lot of you probably know how to do this, but there are some people who don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and I just want to show you what I do in case that can be of help to you. So I'll take it, so I have like these pieces like this big, and I'm just gonna, you want to keep your fingers protected also when you're cutting. I've made the mistake of taking off a large portion of my finger, just the skin, not the bone, and ended up in the emergency room about 10 years ago, and that was not fun. So I'm pretty conscious of my fingers now. And I see these guys with their knife skills where they just whisk through it, which is awesome. Just go at your own speed and be careful to not hurt your fingers. So I'm gonna dice them up or mince them up a little bit more with the carrot, but that kind of gives you an idea of what we're going for, because we want it to be fine and sort of like the same consistency or the same size, not consistency, well, I guess consistencies too, of the ground beef when it's in there. So everything just blends together and marries together and has a great conversation in the pot. So, wrapping up these carrots, which I'm cutting a little bit more carefully than the celery because they're tougher. Ooh, this is gonna be flavorful. Can already tell from the aroma coming from that pot with the pancetta that's cooking and the vegetable bouillon. It's gonna be really good. Okay, so now I have my carrot and my celery. Actually, I have a little bit too much celery. So I'm now just gonna go to town, just mincing that up, watching one of my measuring spoons go away. And it must be amusing watching veggies go everywhere because I'm watching them fly off the cutting board, and I think it's kind of amusing actually. I don't usually video myself cooking, so it is slightly nerve-wracking. But whatever. I figure there's so many people right now who are eating Uber Eats and or cooking or working and not cooking because they're so tired when they get home. And some of these meals can seem super complex, and they're not. I actually want to show you how easy it is. And this might seem complex, and you could actually use a chopping machine for this too. I wouldn't recommend a food processor, but like one of those little food choppers. But, you know, having a home-cooked meal is just so comforting. And if you have kids or family, it's a great way to bring everybody together, to have that family table at the end of the day and just have the smell of mom's kitchen. I love that. Okay, so I have now the onions, the carrots, and the celery, and we are gonna go marry this up with the pancetta. Well, here we go on take 2, because last time I was going to put the vegetables in, those tongs opened up and threw red wine all over the place. And my ham, my pancetta, burned. So I'll do it from scratch. I'm gonna cook the pancetta. A little bit too hot. So I'm gonna take it off the heat.